Hello, today we're going to look at some variations of the Swiss defence. If we went back to our main game, Henneberger as black against Alekin from a simultaneous display, white played against the Swiss defence, played this c5 move, and the strategy I recommend is c6, and then we're going to play b6, hitting that pawn. So if b4 in this position, holding up the pawn, I mean white can develop with something like bishop to d3, but then e5 is okay, with the idea knight if takes knight e8, and again we've got some swaps happening, and we'll pick up either the e pawn or the c pawn. So b4 instead by white is the only threatening move. a5, a3, takes and takes, and b6, and we saw that bishop to f4 gave black a little bit of time to organise something on the queen side, with bishop takes c5, b takes c5, takes on c5, rook to a3, and with some pressure that developed on the queen side there, so this is fine for black. Instead, bishop to d3, I now recommend takes and takes and e5, and we'll look at these variations in a little bit more detail. After d takes e5, knight e8, and we're hitting those pawns, we'll get one back and we might get some swaps, and this is okay for black. If instead knight takes on e5, after e5 knight takes e5, we'll take and retreat the knight, this time to d7, and after takes and takes, again we should pick up one of those pawns, and if queen to c2, hitting our h7 pawn, then Polagajewski, who wrote a book on the Queen's Gambit, declined, recommends queen to h4, a nice sort of threatening move, controlling some squares and protecting the h7 pawn, and again we're just waiting to pick up either the e pawn or the c pawn. I suspect the e pawn for preference. So what else can white do? White can play takes, so after e5 white can play takes on f6, takes on f6 and takes on e5. I mean obviously doesn't threaten the possibility of you getting your pawn back, but white might be awkward in a different way. Let's have a look. So the main line is knight takes e5, knight takes e5, bishop takes e5. Now white's got a trick to win a pawn. Check on h7, check on h5, and then takes on e5. And well, white's got a pawn, but bishop to a6, and I think black's got some compensation. White's extra pawn on h2 might not matter for a long while, and in the meantime you've got a nice active bishop and a bit of play. If you don't like that, then there is an alternative. So after e5, takes, d takes e5, drop the bishop back to e7, dodging that possibility, and after castles, well this time we'll take on c5, and after knight d4, queen e8, bishop to b1, then Polagajewski recommends either bishop to a6 here or g6, and either of those I think are equal for black, so that's an okay way to play for black. If instead on move reply to our move 7, Swiss defence, white might play something like a4. Well, that's obviously going to stop us playing b5, and we probably need to play something else. You can hit the bishop first, or just play straight away c6, and we'll play the other system against the Queen's Gambit declined, the Capablanca system, and bishop to d3 now takes again on c4, and we're going to create some swaps, give ourselves a bit of space. Knight to d5, takes, castles, we'll take on c3 as well, and after rook takes c3 we're going to play e5 and get a bishop out, and this is about equal. Polagajewski recommends instead after we take on c3, rook takes c3, and instead of rook takes c3, play b takes c3, and after b5, bishop e2. Polygievsky reckons this has a small advantage for white. I showed this to my computer with Stockfish running, and Stockfish just said bishop to b7, and it's equal. Maybe c5 is coming, although watch that pawn on b5, but Stockfish reckons this is an equal position and not a threat to black survival. If instead on move instead of a4 on move 8, we've got to move queen c2, and then the line given by Polygievsky is c6, and then if we don't want to move the bishop by white, takes and takes, bishop to f4, exclamation mark, says Polygievsky, and Stockfish just gives knight to h5 with an equal game. We'll look at other versions of taking on d5 in a separate video, and I think that's I think that's about it. The a3 move we saw in Alekhine Capablanca, Alekhine. Capablanca hit the bishop. Tal just took straight away on c4 in a game in 78, and then takes b5 is the main plan, and now because of this pressure down on the c file, c5. So I think that's about all you need to know about the Swiss defence in terms of variations. If you get that far, white needs to play 7 moves of theory before you get to play your a6 idea. But I think this is a good way to play, very natural sort of position you get into with all your pieces developed and in the main line of it. And white really needs something better than this. So natural moves by white, I think, lead to a very easy game by black. And if white plays something different, I think we can happily survive. So that's the variations of the Swiss defence. Hope you got something out of that. See you next time.